going on, guys? Great Disciple back with another video, and happy President's Day. You know, when I was growing up, President's Day was actually a pretty big deal. It was actually separate holidays. We got the day off for George Washington's birthday. We got the day off for Abraham Lincoln's birthday. And as time progressed, I guess people stopped seeing the importance of these men in our lives and what they did for us. And they started putting them all together, and we got what's called President's Day. And a lot of schools, they stopped even giving days off for President's Day. But you know, I want to take you back a little bit, and to all my YouTube subscribers who don't live in America, President's Day is a pretty big deal. At least to me it is, because there's been a lot of great things that happened in the history of America, and a lot of it had to do with these men who led our country. What's sad is, over the years, history has stripped away a lot of the things that we used to be taught. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys a story, and it's about George Washington. And just how much, whether Americans like it or not, that the United States is based upon the principles of the providence of God. All right? So let me tell you a little bit about George Washington. You know, early on in his military career, when he was between the ages of, I think, 17 and 21, one of his main duties was being a dispatch rider, a courier. The generals would give him messages, and he would have to ride across the battlefield upwards of sometimes, you know, hundreds of miles to deliver these messages. It was arguably the most dangerous position in the military, because the enemy knew that these guys carried the orders, and if they could intercept them, then communication would be cut off, and wars would come, the victories in war would come easier, right? So it was always the main target, and the Indians were great marksmen. You know, they had teamed up with the French, and this was before Americans were fighting for their independence against the British. This was when Washington actually fought for the British against the French and Indian War, if you guys can remember this. So here's what happens. You know, these Indians were such great marksmen, like I said, and here's Washington going back and forth, and they are shooting at him, and they can't kill this guy. I mean, they literally cannot kill him. In the time frame of Washington doing this, he had 2 horses shot out from under him. He had 4 bullet holes in his coat, yet he himself was untouched by bullet, bayonet, tomahawk, or arrow, and scores of victims had fallen beside him, yet he went unharmed. He had been protected by God's hand. Now, this was a story that was taught in the history books for years. And here's a quote. You know, Washington, upon his return to Fort Cumberland, which was 120 miles from the battle scene, he wrote a letter to his mother to help her with all the fears that she was having over this job that he had in the military. So on July 18, 1755, here's what it says. As I have heard since my arrival at this place, i.e. Fort Cumberland, a circumstantial account of my death and dying speech, I take this early opportunity of contradicting the first, and of assuring you that I have not as of yet composed the latter. But by all powerful dispensations of Providence, I have been protected beyond all human probability or expectation, for I had 4 bullets through my coat and 2 horses shot under me, yet escaped unhurt, although death was leveling my companions on every side of me. What a wonderful way to write, you know? But wait, it gets even better. 15 years later, an old respected Indian chief sought out counsel with Washington. When he heard that he was in the area, through an interpreter, he explained that he had set out on a long journey to meet Washington personally and to speak to him about the battle 15 years earlier. And here's what he says. This is from the Indian chief. I am a chief and ruler over my tribes. My influence extends to the waters of the Great Lakes and to the far blue mountains. I have traveled a long and weary path that I might see the young warrior of the great battle. It was on the day when the white man's blood mixed with the streams of the forest that I first beheld this chief, Washington. I called to my young men and said, Mark yon tall and daring warrior. He is not of the redcoat tribe. He hath an Indian's wisdom, and his warriors fight as we do. Himself is alone exposed. Quick, let your aim be certain, and he dies. Our rifles were leveled, rifles which, but for you, knew not how to miss. 'Twas all in vain. A power mightier far than we shielded you. Seeing you were under the special guardship of this grand spirit, we immediately ceased to fire at you. I am old and soon shall be gathered to the great council, fire of my fathers in the land of shade. But ere I go, there is something bids me speak in the voice of prophecy. Listen, the Great Spirit protects that man, pointing at Washington, and guides his destinies. He will become the chief of nations, and a people yet unborn will hail him as the founder of a mighty empire. I am come to pay homage to the man who is the particular favorite of heaven, and who can never die in battle. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that? Isn't that such an awesome story? Every time I read this, I get goosebumps. I mean, what an amazing account of God's divine protection over George Washington, who would thus become the first president of the United States. I don't know if you guys like this, but man, this story is just, it's so awesome. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Happy President's Day. Look up this story. It's great. And as always, hit that thumbs up button if you liked it. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think of this. And I know it's in this old English type of speaking and writing, but this is how they did it back then. All right? Subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.